Right now we have 5 planets in Aquarius. We have Pluto, Mars, the Sun, Venus and Mercury in the sign of fixed air, ruled by Saturn, co-ruled by Uranus and where Mercury is exalted. That means there is a very big focus in thinking, communicating and analyzing in unique and realistic ways about structure, networking and association, and how you can use your uniqueness and individuality to be a part of, to create or to support a group, an organization, or a way to think and be realistic that cares about progress and being helpful to you, to others, to a community, or to a cause. At the same time, there is a big focus in protecting your ego, your identity, and the things that you believe in a more spiritual or logical way, with fixed and consistent and many times stubborn ways to perceive and think about reality, society, communication, relationship, and associations. I'm going to talk individually about how each planet that is now in the sign of Aquarius is making us go more forward into thinking and communicating in more unique ways. Also, keep in mind, Aquarius is all about as well associating yourself with unique circumstances, people, places, things, causes, or schools of thought. Also, keep in mind, do not let yourself be lost into logic, numbers, facts, or just videos, information in general, because especially the Sun being in Aquarius and Mercury in there as well means that we can take the image, the perspective that we are being exposed to, and that others are communicating to us all around us about reality, society, and politics, for an example. And then we take that and we can make that very solid and very present in our own mind, and it can be not very good for you because it might be making you feel stressed under pressure. It might be killing your dreams and killing your imaginations. It might make you, on the other side, feel too giddy, feel too comfortable, feel like you know it all and that you can predict or be aware of everything, and that might not be true in your case. Or, in another way, it can make you think that you are aware of enough stuff, of enough things, of enough perspectives, and perhaps those perspectives are too logic and too realistic, and you need a bit more spiritual, emotional, and instinctive perspectives to really know what's going on within you and around you. Let's start with the Sun in Aquarius, because this means that every other planet that is in Aquarius will be bringing more attention and more authority to those aspects, and also it's going to be easier for us or others to see in real ways, in ways that we can point to them and talk with each other about them, all the other developments that the other planets are bringing to us while in the sign of Aquarius. But first, Sun. The Sun doesn't like quote unquote to be in Aquarius. The Sun loves to be in Leo, loves to be in Aries, but the Sun also really enjoys the uniqueness, the individuality, and the ability to stand strong on a belief or on a purpose that Aquarius brings. What the Sun does not like is the extra thought, extra logicality, and even instances of overthinking, over communicating, and caring too much about connection and association. Especially, Aquarius has a curse, quote unquote, where many times they sacrifice connection and association to be in a closer group or to be by themselves in order to really have real connections, real thoughts, real ideas, and real space to share and act on those unique ideas and perspectives about themselves and reality. So even though they are sacrificing and limiting their ability to connect and be a part of something, they always want or need to be a part of something, to have friends, to have connections. But Aquariuses, more than anybody, know that sometimes it's better to be alone than in bad companies, while the Sun really enjoys to party, quote unquote, to see, to be seen, to share, to feel warmth, to have excitement. Aquarius cuts that in order to have reality, logic, stability, real space, real connection, real exchange of ideas and perspectives. So the Sun enjoys certain part of Aquarius, but it doesn't like the coldness and limitation when it comes to associations. Also, the overthinking, the extra logical step of Aquarius also perturbs with the sun element, where the sun likes to believe in itself. So, Leos, Aries, any sign that is more sun like, that is more Mars like as well. They don't really like the extra logical aspects because that can bring them down from a good perspective, from a good feeling, from a good vibe, from a good expression. If you start overthinking about it, you can limit yourself, you can perturb yourself when it comes to expressing, to be seen in a light, positive way, and to make communication, to make association, to be a part of something in a profitable way, or in basically any way. It's important to feel good about it, to bring a good vibe, to bring good images, to be seen in a good way. And you might even overthink about something, and then others receive your expressions, receive your actions and ideas already in a weird way because they feel like you have too much. You know, you carrying too much within yourself. You're not really present, you're not really connected, you don't believe in yourself, you don't have enough trust. So Aquariuses can believe in themselves a lot and have a very clear perspective, but they need to grow extra steps in order to believe, to make sure that they are capable to be a good example, a good leader, or just a good person, or to bring good actions and expressions in general. The Aquarius Sun, though, is great to be very real and very clear about yours and others' actions and expressions when it comes to structure, networking, and association. Also, Sun in Aquarius can bring a lot of interest and communal communication about things from the government, dealing with organizations, dealing with big groups, big companies, big things that are influencing the world and actually bringing a perspective of change, of people coming together or organizations coming together to change something that deals with the stability, the law, the social rights, and social etiquette of a specific surrounding or geographical location. Also, with Sun in Aquarius, there is the opportunity for you and others to want to associate themselves with something unique or something progressive. Also, you and others might want to see or be a part of something that punishes or controls people that you don't, or the groups that you're a part of, don't seem intelligent, smart, or realistic, and others that see the world right now as too oppressive, too cold, and too limiting. They might want to see others that believe and work themselves in those ways punished, limited, or regulated. So with Sun in Aquarius, it's very good to express your unique thoughts, unique ideas, unique associations, unique connections, and way to connect yourself with big schools of thought, astrology, science, sports, politics, you know what I'm saying? It's great to as well for you to get interest and inspired about others' unique minds and unique perspectives or unique ways to associate themselves and to be a part of something that you think it's unique and original. But also it's very easy to cast images, expressions, and actions that kill faith, that kill hope, that kill spirituality, that kill good vibes. It's very easy to have a very dry, logical, limiting, and even punishing and too much authoritarian action, expression, and vision. And if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't have great mental structures, if you don't have the ability to defend yourself and to strive forward within your mind in the first place, the external world can very easily, through communication, association, and relationships, bring limiting perspectives to yourself about the progress and even if it's possible or not to progress about the world, what we call doomerism. So, in other words, it's very easy for you and others to be affected by doomerism without feeling that something is weird and that shouldn't be the way. But on the positive side, if you get inspired or if you are inspiring, it's easy for others to have less emotional barriers to clear perspectives of why things can be good and prosperous in a logical, realistic, and unique way. Then let's talk about Pluto in Aquarius. Is the most powerful force at play, but it's also the force that takes the longest to materialize and manifest itself. And sometimes you're already going through some Plutonian aspect of your life, or plutonic phase of your life, but you still are not aware of that you are in that phase, or how the importance and the waves that were set in motion by you taking certain steps or avoiding certain paths in your life. But Pluto in Aquarius in general means, or Pluto first, Pluto in general means transformation. And with that comes power and control issues, comes you being aware of deep things that are deeply important to you, or that were in your depths, or that were in the depths of groups, organizations, your surroundings, people's stabilities, families, backstory, and whatnot. And also, Pluto means that you can now be that you are aware, or even if you're not aware, you're working, you're reacting to certain internal deep patterns within you, and then in certain elements, in certain signs, it is easy for you to see the physical representation and consequence of deep internal patterns and belief systems, for an example. But with Pluto in Aquarius, it's about transforming or being aware of transformation and power and control issues, for an example, in the realms of government, networking, and association on a large scale, because it deals with thinking, communicating, and analyzing in a consistent, stubborn, or fixed way about reality, structured progress, and humanitarianism in a light and logical way. So, big sources, big examples of communication, of what's right. You know what I'm saying? What's the most stable, most efficient way to live life? What is the most logical and responsible way to live your life? What's considered to be a safe job? What's considered to be a career of risk? What's considered to be acceptable to say out loud? What is considered to be risky to say out loud? What things can you say out loud in public, in social media, before you need to apologize? Or that you don't, what things can you say that you don't need to apologize? Or what things you say that you don't think you need to apologize, but then you end up needing to apologize, for an example. Also, Pluto in Aquarius means big transformation will be started or broadcasted through social media, of course. And they have to be careful here, because it's easy to have fake accounts or fake people. They are real people, but their ideas are fake because they just chose the easiest opinion or fact to ride. They're not looking for a way to achieve progress. And like I said, when we were talking about the sun in Aquarius, it's easier now to see doomerism as something real, and then you don't have certain emotional barriers or emotional filters to think that's wrong. But in the end of the day, it's always wrong to believe in doomerism. And Pluto in Aquarius can reveal the depths where the doomerism perspective is coming from, and how deeply that is affecting people, yourself, and around you, that perhaps you didn't think it was that deep. Perhaps you didn't connected certain people's mentalities around you that are connected to this version of doomerism, right? And what version of doomerism am I talking about? For example, people thinking there is no future because AI, people thinking the government can't be changed, that they're just gain more control over people. And even if the facts are there, it's your mission to always believe that there will be some progress. There will be light in the end of the tunnel. And with Pluto in Aquarius, first we go through challenging times, of course, and then the goal is to develop mindsets, ways to communicate, and ways to create and maintain structure, networking, and association that is supportive, logical, of community, unique, and individual. So you can support yourself and be supported without sacrificing your time, your uniqueness, your individuality, and your interests. Because keep in mind, with everything that deals with Aquarius, we have to remember a trope of a personality, which is the type of personality that is only really intelligent, that only really is capable of doing something when they are interested. And Aquarius plays a lot by that. Aquarius has real potential can only be achieved if they are interested in something. And what, for example, makes a big difference between Aquarius and Capricorn, both ruled by Saturn, both care about structure and being responsible and stable, is that Aquarius can sacrifice stability and safety to chase, create, or associate themselves with something that still provides a certain level of stability, but it's also interesting or has a cause behind it. And Pluto in Aquarius has the power to change the deep core in the masses of how you should live your life in a responsible and important way. So the shift will be from Capricorn, that's where Pluto was. Pluto is right now 3 degrees Capricorn, 3 degrees Aquarius. So it's now fully into Aquarius. We finally fully integrated Capricorn energy, where Pluto was in there, and the transition period from 0 degrees, 28 degrees Capricorn to 3 degrees Aquarius. And the change will be from only safety, only stability, endure until you can retire, to now we still want the stability, we still want the security, we still want the status, but we want something cool, progressive, balanced. Air signs always go for balance, something that is interesting and something that we can share. We don't need to take all the responsibility, all the stress, all the weight into ourselves. Because Capricorn is a lot about that. Creating responsibilities, stress, limits, and boundaries. And because it's a cardinal sign, it's very easy, especially Capricorn suns and Capricorn moons, to place all those stressful perspectives and real things connected to responsibility upon yourself. While Aquarius, they look to share, they look to create a system, a program, a network, a way of living where we share the pressure, we share the boredom of reality, so we can have more time and mental, spiritual, and emotional energy to chase, create, and be a part of something interesting yet stable. So Pluto in Aquarius really has the potential to change everybody's perspective about what a responsible and real life is, and it has the potential to be something great and progressive. But first we have to go through the learning steps. We have to go through the early steps of Pluto in Aquarius. And right now we are going through a phase to fortify our minds, in my opinion, which is going through all this supposedly inevitable doom: AI, government, super authority, people disconnected, fertility rates going down. And actually, fertility rates going down, it's a very Saturnian type of negative influence, because love, family, and pleasure stops being the priority, and then work, achievement, and social status is the focus. And those things kind of oppose each other. Aquarius and Saturn energy, when doing in this way, like South Korea and Japan, and even here in Portugal, it cancels out the love. It cancels out the perspective of reproduction being something we all should strive for. Because most people don't have kids right now because they think it's not financially responsible. You know what I'm saying? While back in the day, here in Portugal, for an example, we had very poor families, but they had 6, 7 kids. Now things are very different, and that's a great example to show you how Pluto in Capricorn was changing things and how Pluto in Aquarius are now changing things. On the negative side, Pluto in Capricorn can transform the world into a very cold, limited, and stagnant place. But that's not the best case scenario. The best case scenario, like I said, is us creating systems that allow everybody to have structure while striving for personal and unique interests. And all will come down to how good community, how good people can be a part of communities without relying on a big power to control, police, and help them out. With Sun in Aquarius, how will that affect Pluto in Aquarius? So it's easier for us to see, act, and express logical, unique perspectives about deep transformation, deep power and control issues, power struggles, deep changes about our own and others' structure, networking, and association that in any way, shape, and form is connected to unique thoughts, unique ideas, uniqueness, individuality, rebellion, opposition, and innovation in a way that is still stable, progressive, and connective. And it's also easier to act or interpret from others' actions a sense of coldness, progress, stubbornness, weirdness, and the need and the want to change something forcibly. So you might be seeing others progressing, struggling to achieve a unique way to think, communicate, and analyze, or to be a part of a unique association or unique group of people or a unique situation about stability and structure. Or you might yourself might now realize that you were dealing with social anxiety, that you had some type of trauma when it came to be on top of your game, to be on top of laws, regulations. You might be realizing you, your community, people somewhere, because now you might use the internet, you might realize how they were traumatized about claiming their rights, about how maybe some, just an example, you might see this from every part in the world. You might see that they had the wrong way to go about the government, to go about the perspective of what a government should do. They were doing wrong, they were wrongly depending too much on the government, they are wrongly challenging up against the government, for an example. And you now can see how those things are changing and transforming, or you can see where how people were doing things, where they came from, why were they traumatized, how they were traumatized, how they are changing right now and changing the core fundamental aspects of how they deal with government and big corporations and big groups and big associations, for an example. So it's easier for us to see these things, but it's also easy for us to be blinded, scared, or pushed back by power and control issues, by stressful situations, by transformative scenarios, where you are forced and others around you are forced to think, communicate, and analyze in their unique way about reality, structure, network, and association in order to maintain or achieve a position of authority, control, or communal respect in your surroundings or in your personal interests and personal cares when it comes to progress, stability, structure, networking, and association. Now let's talk about Mars in Aquarius. This means that our passions, motivation, anger, and frustration will be way more correlated with uniqueness, individuality, rebellion, and opposition when it comes to society, networking, communication, association, and your structure. So it's very easy now to take social causes and be mad about them. It's very easy now to be passionate or frustrated about technology, video games, science, and politics. It's also now easier to stand your stance when it comes to your unique ideas or perspectives about the world, spirituality, society. You might now be more angry or more motivated about your structure or somebody else's structure. It's also easy now for you to show yourself in a more passionate way about your unique circumstance. If you have a unique circumstance of living, you have a unique upbringing, you have a unique relationship, a unique connection with people around you and your surroundings. If you have a unique business, a unique way to communicate, a unique way to show your interests, it's now easier for you to be passionate or motivated about it, and it's also easier for others to be passionate, motivated, or frustrated about it. On the negative way, if you still didn't develop a good enough sense of confidence, praise, and value about yourself, your personal interests, instead of feeling passionate and motivated, you might feel insecure, angry, and frustrated because you don't think yourself and you don't see yourself as capable of achieving a degree of intelligence, communication, association, or appreciation in a broad communication in social media or in your surroundings when it comes to your unique ideas and unique ways to perceive yourself, others, the world, structure, networking, and association. You might be frustrated and angry when you see others getting some type of praise, achievement, networking and association because they got themselves into a place where they have a lot of eyes on them, they have a lot of resources being handed to them, they are around people that you wanted to be around, they're going places where you wanted to go places, and you might think they have no uniqueness and no individuality. You might think they are fake, you might think they don't deserve it, you might think it's like a scam or it's all planned, just because you have inside of you a concealed and limited uniqueness, individuality, rebelliousness that wants to come out, but you never created, for different reasons, a stable enough network, a stable enough perspective, ability for you to even see, not just communicate, but see yourself able to communicate and be around spaces where unique ideas and unique perspectives are being communicated. Or you might be rejecting yourself from unique circumstances that will allow you to have still some stability, but also some freedom or unique interests that you could chase and be a part of while having some stability and some security anyway. Also, with Mars in Aquarius, it might be very easy for you to be mad and aggressive against people, organizations, or school of thoughts that you think are not logical enough, that you might think they are too spiritual, too emotional, too soft. You might be angry about somebody because they're fighting for their rights or they're fighting for a cause, literally or verbally or through protests or by building a company, building an organization, or associating themselves with a brand or an image. You might be mad at them because you think their cause, their purpose, or their identity, their personality is too emotional. They're not trying too hard enough. They are not limiting and sacrificing, or their idea is not that unique. It's not that special, you know. So you might be mad about that, or others might see you in that way, then be frustrated and aggressive towards you. But in the end of the day, I think Mars in Aquarius is a very positive sign, a very positive event, because it's now easier for us to be passionate and motivated about uniqueness and individuality, which is always good. It's also easier for us to bring logical structure that is still flexible and unique to our desires, personal interests, personal insecurities, and personality in general. So it's easier for us to chase or create new interests that are really our own, but we still can have some sort of achievement, sense of connection that it's unique and stable. So, for an example, you can put your passions and your creativity now into better words or into better stages to be seen as logical and real while still being seen as well in a flexible, unique, rebellious, and changing, innovative perspective. But also, it's easier for us to go to war, even against ourselves, about logical, governmental, law, structural, and networking type of circumstances. So things it's easier, for example, for government to rage bait communities, especially about things that are unfair or about classes of society, about police brutality, about not respecting the workers, about limiting information, about censoring information, about modifying information. Also, war on AI will go crazy right now with Mars with Mars in Aquarius, because some people will be very passionate about AI, while others will be very angry about AI. So it's easier to create rage bait or real change in all of those areas. So it's up to you and everybody to use Sun and Venus in Aquarius to discern if that war, if that rebelliousness, if that opposition is real and progressive, or if it's just rage baited, manipulated, and trauma based. Because we should be healing the traumas, not fighting against them. So maybe a lot of people are traumatized, Pluto in Aquarius, because they've been oppressed, they've been limited, they've been feeling always under some type of control that they can't escape. Now they might get really mad about it, and instead of using that mad energy to build something better, to change and go away from those traumas, they might go and fight those traumas. For example, government. People might go and fight the government, where, in my perspective, the best way is to build your own system and ignore the government. So, in this example, Pluto and Mars in Aquarius can make people fight against the oppressors, against systems, organizations, subjects even of thought that traumatized them, that made them feel they couldn't express themselves, that made them feel they couldn't associate themselves with people of their own kind when it came to uniqueness and individuality. That's why I said we must use Venus in Aquarius to bring some sophistication, to bring some focus on what's profitable about rebelliousness, about rebellion, about opposition. How can I profit from opposing and rebelling? Should I attack the physical example of the opposition, or should I just be aware of it and realize that now I can use that Martian and Plutonic energy to change and be motivated into starting a new way of living, a new way of looking at the world and at how I should be realistic. How should I build a community? How should I obtain and maintain my security, my structure? Should I depend on a big company? Should I depend in a government? Or should I still be a part of those things, but have a more personal, unique community that I can really count on, that I can really support and be supported by? That's a great segue into Venus in Aquarius. Venus in Aquarius means relating, compromising, and enjoying in more unique, individual, rebellious, and opposing ways to bring innovation and new ways to think, communicate, and analyze in stable or stubborn ways about reality, structure, network, and organization. So, with Venus in Aquarius, it's easier to relate and to be related by unique thoughts, unique ideas, or unique people, places, and things. But also, it's easier for others to look like, because the Sun and Mercury are also in Aquarius, it's easier for others to look like unique, consistent, stable, even. And then they might get you all giddy, all excited, all ready to commit, love, and enjoy, and then they are not. Their organization, their situation, their proposal is not that unique, is not that freeing, is not that responsible, is not that profitable. But now you committed, you created ideas, networking, and association because they looked like they were unique. They looked like it could bring some progress. But at the same time, Sun and Mercury are in Aquarius. So it's easier to be intelligent, to be smart, to see things for what they are. And sometimes, most times actually, with Aquarius energy, it's like that person is being too relatable. They're being too corporate. You know what I'm saying? They're being too casual, or they're being too polite. You know, they're being too much because Aquarius knows everything about being too much. So that person, they're not being real, not showing me their quirkiness. They're not showing me what they really think about, what they really believe in, what they really stand for. And with Venus in Aquarius, if you channel, if you use your logical awareness, it's going to be very easy to spot those fake, good, profitable, realistic, and unique associations, people, places, and things. Where you might be trapped or attacked by in a blind angle is through emotion. Somebody making you want to commit, to enjoy some sort of authority, limit, and boundary because it seems cool, it seems revolutionary, it seems powerful. Or you might already be in a certain emotional state, and others can make you feel like, can make themselves look like they can take you out of those deep waters and bring you to dry land, that it's cool, innovative, and progressive. But it might just be locking yourself away from those emotions, from those desires. It might just make you look like you should not care about it. You should just move on instead of integrating and really being aware of those parts of yourself. Also, it's easier to make it look like logic, intelligence, being smart is the only way that it's now to be cool, to be efficient, to be a part of society. And it might now be easier to make you relate to those ideas, so you don't really care about the emotional background and the emotional state of people, places, and things in your surroundings, for an example. It's also easier now to have more dry relationships and communications, or to have logic, structure, and reality be in the way of your relationships and the way you and others love and show love. You and others might not see love and kindness and care coming from each other, because in your mind or in somebody else's mind, they are too dry, too logical, and thinking too much about reality, about videos, about politics, about the government, or about sports. But once you connect, once you find something or you create, or you associate, you both come to each other. And a relationship, a conversation, an association that it's unique, that it's responsible, progressive, stable yet flexible, the commitment level is very strong. The bond will be very strong. Also, easier to relate unique ideas that previously might be seen as weird or strange, and also easier to disguise and mask really creepy and weird things that shouldn't be done, said, or communicated. It's easier to disguise them because people will not be so reactive and care so much about that, because it's going to be communicated in a cool way or in a cool place or platform, or associated with something that is cool or a cool platform or a cool entity. But in the end of the day, Venus in Aquarius, it's all about relating, committing, loving, and enjoying in a unique, rebellious, innovative, cold, logical, but still humanitarian, flexible, stable, and realistic way. And last but not least, Mercury in Aquarius, exalted in Aquarius. That means that Aquariuses and Virgos and Geminis, the natural ruled by by Mercury signs, they all overthink. And Aquarius overthinks about their uniqueness, their individuality, and how unique, individual their structure, their mind, their relationships, and their interests are. You, being an Aquarius, being a Venus, being a Virgo, or being a Gemini, you cannot stop overthinking. It's just all about what are you overthinking about. And in the case of Aquarius, it's easier to go and think about positive things. There is less emotion and care than Virgos, and there is more connection and a desire and the need to be a part of something than Gemini. So Aquariuses don't get so emotional and self-punishing as Virgos, and they don't get so scattered and with a lost sense of identity as Gemini. What happens negatively to Aquarius is killing feelings, killing dreams, killing illusions, imaginations, potentials, and overcomplicating things. Many Aquariuses, they talk themselves out of good circumstances, or they're so limited in their ability to speak by themselves or by the environment because they develop certain coping mechanisms that they just express weird things or in a weird way because they have so many chains, they have so many compartmentalizations. And with Mercury in Aquarius and Venus and Sun in there as well, it's very easy for those things to slip out. It's very easy for your chains to be seen by others. It's very easy for others to manipulate you by pushing and pulling your chains and using you as a puppet in order to make you change your mind to a fixed and consistent way of a certain vision, idea that others might want you to think about. But in a positive way, very easy to think, communicate, and analyze in unique and consistent ways about reality and structure. Also, very easy to overthink and overcommunicate. Very easy to be very smart and clear, sometimes too clear, sometimes not emotional and spiritual enough about anything. Perspectives about reality, about society, about the world, about what's fair, what's just, what's responsible will be in everybody's minds and everybody's mouths. Anything that deals with sports, politics, science, and spirituality will be now very communicated in a logical but also unique way. Things that are cool, different, or rebelling will be in everybody's mouth and minds. Spirituality can now be brought into a more logical place without losing its meaning and its purpose, but it's very easy to create cults and movements around an oversimplified perspective of spirituality, tarot, astrology, numerology, and geometry in general. And because we also have Pluto in Aquarius, transformative circumstances, deep secrets, deep lore can now be communicated, related, or seen. So there'll be some expositions, some exposure of deep stuff that was happening in big organizations, government, sports, politics, big groups, big industries. Things now will be seen and revealed and communicated and thought about that dealt with authority, domination, um, sacrificing, manipulating, mind controlling, mind numbing, stopping somebody from expressing themselves, stopping somebody from fighting for what they think it's right. Also, fighting for what people think it's right will be in everybody's mouth, in communication, in your own mind. Then it's up to you to communicate and to be open to those communications. At the end of the day, Mercury in Aquarius is really good. Communication will become more eccentric, more unique, more individual, more opposing, more rebellious, more innovative. But make sure to not get too dry. Make sure to still get some water, some fire within you, some inspiration, some care, some purpose, some spirituality, some passion, some frustration. But be careful because Mars is in Aquarius. So anything that deals with government, sports, science, spirituality, politics will be very easy to communicate passion and hate and aggressiveness. Instead, focus by using Venus in Aquarius to be passionate about thinking and communicating about progressive, profitable, balanced, and fair, unique circumstances, unique laws, unique decisions, unique groups of people, unique organizations, and focus in thinking and communicating about progress, about how you can have a unique situation that is stable and progressive, that is stable and allows you to communicate and chase and create unique interests and unique personalities. So also focus and filter your communications and your relationships and focus. That doesn't mean you need to take all other communications out of the way, but focus your feelings and emotions and your mind in unique communications, unique subjects, unique perspectives, and you don't even need to change what your personal interests are. Just look for something unique but real within what you are already doing, within what you're already interested about, and bring some more logicality, some more reality and practicality to your interests, to your entertainment, to your thoughts and conversations. That's everything for today. Stellium in Aquarius, big focus in uniqueness and individuality. Change yourself, change the world to obtain a more unique yet stable, more flexible yet responsible, a more opposing yet fair, a more entertaining yet real world. It's all about community, building your community, or associating to a community that shares your unique thoughts, your unique ideas, and your unique senses of progress, structure, stability, and achievement. Thank you for watching. I wish you the best thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, and a whole bunch of individuality, creativity, and responsibility as well. Esoteric Cloud Surfer, surfing out.